Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals.
Hey, hi. How's it going?
Fantastic.
Hey, look, it's Bryan.
I was here last week. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to make sure it was you 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
It's amazing. Amazing. Hey, we've got a special guest. You can see his knee right now, but we're going to pull him on here in just a minute. So I'm excited about that introduction. That's going to be pretty cool. But Bryan's got some things that he needs to go do. So even though he's here, he's not really here. He's only sort of here.
I'm here for a minute. Hey, we're starting 35 minutes late.
Oh, well, I was on time. You were here before I was.
Way early.
Wow, that's also a first. Okay. We're going to start with some headlines. Let's do this. Right, headlines.
Take it away, Jonathan.
Yeah, so Bryan shared this with me this morning, and it's funny. I don't know if you do this, but sometimes I can kind of like feel things, and so I have anecdotes that kind of support how I feel about things, and just kind of a pulse on the market type thing.
And then you see a headline that supports it,
and you look at some statistics, and you think, okay, what's behind those statistics? And then you end up with this article like this one. And this is a CNBC article. And I think, Trent, you're sharing it in the comments, right? Yeah. It's in the description. Okay, perfect. And the headline is, sellers are pulling homes off the market at the fastest pace since 2020.
2020?
Yeah.
What happened? What happened in 2020? Was it March of 2020?
Let me see here. Yes, as a matter of fact. How did you know that?
I read the article.
Oh, yeah, me too. No, so in 2020, of course, you guys know we had a pandemic that had gotten started, and people were pulling their houses off the market, mostly because of the pandemic.
Dude, I remember I've been in the mortgage business at that point about 2.5 years, and I was so excited because I had a pretty good pipeline, and I remember telling my wife, I was like, hey, I've got to work as hard as possible to get all these loans closed because I'm going to have a pretty strong month in March. If the title companies will close these loans, I don't know when they're going to shut down. So I need to get everything, clear, close, and close, because as strong as this month might be, it might be the last loans I closed this whole year. I didn't know what was going to happen.
And that is the reason that we saw a lot of homes get delisted. People were freaking out. They didn't know what to think.
And they want people coming in their homes.
That's it. We had conflicting, information. We had scary information about stuff that had ultimately nothing to do with real estate. But it just kind of grinded everything to a halt. I'm sure you all remember that. Now, all of that said, let's see, since then, delistings were up nationwide, 5.8% of all home listings were pulled off the market in April. Now think about that. That's nationwide. Almost 6% of all home listings were pulled off the market. And this is talking specifically about delistings. It's not talking about listings that expired. It's not talking about sales. It's not talking about that. This is somebody saying,
it's not talking about
I was for
contracts
sale.
Fell through.
No. And maybe they did also, right? That sometimes those things go hand in hand, right? But this is saying my house is for sale, changed my mind, pulling it off the market. 6% roughly of all listings nationwide that happened. And that's up 3.8% compared with March. So there's always going to be some, right? There's always going to be somebody that, maybe a job situation changed. Maybe, maybe it was a divorce and they reconciled. Maybe it was a divorce and the one spouse decided to keep the home,
but
whatever.
For every 100 people who are families who decided we are going to move, we're going to sell our home where we live,
changed their mind.
And for every 100 that made that decision, 6 said, nope, not right now.
They had said they were going to, and then they changed their mind. Yeah.
They said not right now. That's a big number. And it doesn't sound big, but man, that's pretty significant.
Well, check this out. Atlanta saw the highest share of homes come off the market in April with 1 in 10, so 10% delisted. San Jose was right behind it at 9%, LA at 7.8, Dallas at 7.8, Seattle at 7.7. So why does somebody change their mind? Why do they delist their home? And there's all kinds of reasons. One of the things that it cites in here, and this makes total sense because we've talked about this 100 million times, is, at the beginning of the year, we saw some really good, what I would call positive movement in mortgage rates, right? And so all the people that have been handcuffed to their homes because of mortgage rates, if they've got a 3% mortgage rate or 3.5% or 4% mortgage rate, and they're looking at having to go to a 7% to buy, they can't buy.
They don't want to. Even if they can, they don't want to.
It just doesn't make financial sense.
It's just not worth it to them.
Right. And as we started to see at the beginning of the year, rates were coming down. It was not difficult to get into the 5s to buy it down, or in some cases, maybe it naturally was there.
FHA rates, they were there.
Yep. And then all of a sudden we go to war with Iran and they go back up. Right. And so if you had your house listed in order to purchase something new in that span of time, the war starts, rates spike again, right? And all of a sudden you're sitting there going, oh, hold on a second. If I thought I was going to get this much money as my takeaway money, right? Even if I still got this much, it doesn't go nearly as far because my rate went way up.
Yeah.
But there's more, okay? So as those rates went up and I thought I was going to have this much money, right? That makes it necessary for me to sell the house because now my house is also less affordable for someone. It is totally logical to assume that whoever it is that would be buying my home would need that price to come down as well.
Or more concessions.
Either way, my net, this pot gets smaller.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and all of that happened. Every bit of that happened. And so,
and I think it also happened at a moment where, we've talked about this a lot, but seasonality was kicking into play. At the same time that was happening, spring break was wrapping up and people really slow down making big moves and changes. They're like, hey, let's just get to the end of the school year. And I noticed anecdotally, my pipeline and my application activity has picked right back up. And so I'm right back to, maybe not back to where I was right before Iran, but my volume seemingly has kind of corrected or recovered from where it had dropped off right after spring break, right after the Iran conflict started, or war, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. However, that's all true. But also, you think about this, like it's all a big chain reaction, okay? So if there are fewer people that are selling and the number of buyers stays the same, okay, then that means that the prices of homes should go up. Does that make sense?
Right.
More demand for less inventory.
Yeah.
Okay. If there are more people selling and there are fewer buyers, then that means prices should come down.
Right.
Right. Here's what's crazy. At the same time that we were seeing houses come off the market, delisting, right, we're seeing buyers exit the market as well. So that rate has affected both sides of that.
It's the
same. So what happens to price when you lose both?
It stays pretty flat.
Stays pretty flat. And that's exactly what this article talks about.
And that's where we've been really since rates started to go up. Those things has happened in tandem for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Now, that said, we have seen what I would consider a normal price appreciation. Yeah. We're seeing, depending on your region, 1 to maybe 4 or 5%, right, at the most. I think right here in Rutherford County, we're like, I think year over year, we were like 3 and some change, just under 4. So check this out. So signed contracts on existing homes rose slightly in April, up 1.4 from March. That's the seasonality bump. Now, here's the other thing, and I looked this up too. This is super crazy. Our MLS, we're blessed to have our MLS also have a showing center, so you can schedule showings directly through the MLS. And that's finally gotten to the point where it's adopted enough that we can rely on some of those statistics. And typically, the spring selling season, you're going to see February showing activity. So all showings across all listings, right? The total number of showings. Usually, like in February, it might sit at, say, through Real Tracks, 2,800 to 3,000, right? So it's right here. And then we see, as long as the weather cooperates, we see March start to go up, and we might hit 3 to 3,200, somewhere around there. And then usually April we start to see that spike. And then May, a lot of times, for exactly the reason you just talked about, April and May are pretty flat. And then June, it goes up. And then we dive off July and August, right? That didn't happen this year. Instead, we saw February to March was like this, okay? And then we saw it go up a little bit more for April. May, showings dropped off. They went down substantially, 10%. There were 10% fewer showings in May than there were in April in Rutherford County. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And people just said, oh, well, we thought rates were down.
It was a storm of it did feel like we ran into a brick wall.
Just kidding, kind of thing.
Coming out of spring break, coming out of Iran, it felt like we ran into a brick wall. And things have seemed to, without a whole lot of improvement in interest rate, things have seemed to have stabilized.
Well, so let's dive into that for a second. Yes, to some extent, but I think that the buyers that we have now, I think you've got a larger share of the smaller number of buyers, like you personally. Okay, there is definitely less activity. There is definitely overall, like it's definitely slower, and I think you've done a good job to where you have more of that activity. But I forgot what I was going to say there. Cool story. Let's move on. Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to take us over to This Is Real?
Yeah. I'll see if I can remember what I was going to say.
That ceiling is fire.
Is it? Did they glue doilies on it? What is going on there? Is it wallpaper? Dude, it's crocheted.
That's wild.
That has a texture.
That'd be wild.
They've hung an Afghan on the ceiling.
Could be a recording studio. Like soften the sound a little bit.
The sound would be great.
Yeah.
Is that a real dog?
There's some good acoustics in that room. No way.
No,
that is a
it's not
stuffed
real.
animal. And I bet you those aren't real flowers either.
I love how they did some perspective shot with this. So you have foreground flowers and mid-ground flowers and background flowers.
There's a song on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. It's the brothers, not the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Flowers on the Wall.
Is that the Oak Ridge Boys or
Statler Brothers?
It's Oak Ridge Boys.
I think it's the Statler Brothers.
I'll have to look it up.
Anyway, you look that up, but yeah, they got the wrong memo. They put the flowers on the ceiling instead of the flowers on the wall. Man, that is a great song. Have you ever heard it? It's the smoking cigarettes and
watching
Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
Trent, find that and drop it in the comments. The Flowers on the Wall song. That's a great song, great movie. Statler Brothers, Quentin Tarantino. Thank you for taking my mind there with this. This is real today, Trent.
I mean, this is straight out of the 70s, y'all. This
is a straight out of a Quentin Tarantino movie, dude.
In the set, yeah. In the 70s.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you can see John
Kill Bill.
Travolta.
There should be a puddle of blood in there from Kill Bill.
I was going with like a pin to the heart for an OD, you know, like
yeah, a little epinephrine or whatever it is.
All right,
let's
pro tip.
Please.
So earlier this week, you posted a reel, and it was like why it's not the right time to buy. And I wanted to just spend a minute briefly kind of touching on that, because as I was watching it, and something that you said here just a moment ago really rings true to me. And that's that the old adage used to be, hey, you know, and this used when I first started in mortgage, this was a conversation we had with people to decide, should you buy a house or not? It's how long do you plan on living in this home? And we got away from that post-COVID. It didn't matter how long you were going to live. You could live in the house for a year, sell it, and make some money.
But that's what also happened from 05 to 09, right?
Right. And we're very much back to that spot where really, if you're not planning on living in that house for 5-6 years, it might not be a good idea to buy the house. So that's something that you really need to think about. You know, how transit are you? What are your goals? And now if you're planning on retaining the house as an investment property, then yeah, go ahead and buy it.
But let's have that conversation.
But you really, if you're just buying a house because you're going to be living in Nashville for 2 years while you're finishing up your master's at Belmont, you might be better off to rent for those 2 years than to buy buy, because if you don't know what the market's going to be like in 2 years when you're going to sell, and if the market's down at all or even just flat, you're not going to net enough to pay off to profit after you pay real estate commissions, closing costs, and things of that nature.
And then you either lose money or you become what I would call a reluctant landlord.
Yeah. So the reluctant landlords, we saw a lot of those in 2023 and 2024. I think we saw a lot of those more in like 2022.
We saw a whole bunch of those in 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, 13. Mm-hmm. Yeah, before the market recovered from the crash. Mm-hmm. So those are things. That's my pro tip out there. Really, is just if you're thinking about buying, really think about how long you're going to be happy and satisfied living in that house. If you're a newlywed couple, you want to have kids early, then maybe stretch. This goes the other way too. Don't buy that 2-bedroom townhouse if you plan on having kids in the next couple of years. If you want to grow your family fast, then stretch your budget a little bit to get the house that you can grow into. You'll be thankful later that you did that.
Yep. And I want to, while you're on that, one of the comments that was made on that particular TikTok, that same one, another realtor from another market, I don't know him, he said, but interest on rent is 100%, right? That's what he said. And that's an old cliche. And quite frankly, I think that's BS.
Yeah, that's I need to sell a house talk right there.
Yes, it is. And here's why I think that's BS. So, and I actually had this conversation with Craig. This is a great segue. We'll talk to Craig here in just a minute. Is that when you look at a house, okay, it actually hits a couple of different things on your accounting, in your accounting world. Number one, we have a basic human need for shelter. Right. So you're going to have an expense for shelter, or you're going to live with your parents or crash on someone's couch, right? Like, or you're going to live under a bridge. Yeah. That's just how it is. Okay. So it hits an expense column, right? Number one. Now, when you own a home, it's also an asset to some extent because you hope that it appreciates over a period of time.
Right.
And with any asset, there's a possibility of depreciation and a possibility of appreciation, right? So we have that, but it doesn't do that without maintenance. And the maintenance on your home that you own is an expense. It is the expense that helps you maintain and realize later that appreciation. That appreciation. Exactly. Now, do you have an expense when you rent? You do. It's all wrapped into one, and it's your rent payment. Yeah. But you don't have the expense of replacing a water heater. If it's an apartment, you don't have the expense of mowing the grass. You don't have the expense of pressure washing the vinyl siding outside, right? Your insurance is significantly cheaper on an apartment. So all of those other expenses that you absolutely have on the owning side, you don't have them. It's just wrapped into one payment.
Think about property taxes. Yeah, it's built into your rent, of course.
It's all built in.
But it's all there. It's that number. And I talk with a lot of people who tell me they want a mortgage payment that is cheaper than what they can get out there in rent.
You can't do it right now.
And it's not obtainable and on a mortgage with the amount of down payment that they have. So it's there's definitely a market now where it might make sense for someone to rent instead of to buy. Now, there are a ton of advantages to homeownership, and neither one of us would sit here and tell you that there are not. And we both believe that homeownership is
but you shouldn't be shamed into buying
right.
because rent has 100% interest rate.
Right.
That's BS.
That's not a true reflection of that's not great advice, because it's that is advice from someone who is motivated to sell real estate, not someone who is there to
care about
your best interests.
Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong with renting. Hear me say that. And I make money by selling. I don't make money by renting.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with renting in the right circumstance. And I think the key here, and this is back to your pro tip, is let's have the conversation and let's figure out you have a basic human need to satisfy.
Yeah.
Right? What is the best way in your current situation and your immediate future situation to satisfy that need of having a roof over your head?
Yeah. So bonus pro tip, we have two today. Bonus pro tip for today is, this is more to the industry professionals who tune in and watch the show. Thank you for doing that, folks. But this pro tip is like, hey, recognize when it's the right time for you to scale, and before you're ready to take that step, invest in your business by getting the right help. And I've seen so many professionals who kind of they rise their level of business to a point where they end up stubbing their toes, and then they get knocked down a couple of pegs. They have to start over. They have to rebuild new relationships, because you can only do so much as one person. And without the right help on your team, it's too easy to get out in front of your skis and mess something up where you damage a relationship and you lose something that you worked maybe potentially years to build up a referral source, or years to build a reputation, years to build a pipeline, and then you can mess it up, just by being too busy and too overextended, and
too unwilling to give up a little bit of control.
That's a good point too. So that being said, I do need to get to a meeting, and I am going to let you take the pro tip to the next level.
You got it. That sounds good. All right, y'all go ahead and swap. So and back to what Brian was saying, one of the things that's very important to me, and this is kind of counter to what a lot of folks say, is I don't like to try to work on my weaknesses. I would rather work on my strengths and get better and better at the things that I'm already good at, things that I already enjoy, and instead outsource and hire in and train and develop and help build a legacy for someone else. The things that I'm not good at, that maybe they're not good at it either. We don't know yet, but at least it's a part of the job that they can learn, and I can absolutely let go and set someone free, and hopefully they do a great job. Whether they hate it or they love it, it doesn't matter, right? Do you do a good job at least for a short period of time, and then you can appreciate the work that goes into it. The other thing that I tell people all the time that are thinking about getting into real estate is the showing houses, doing contracts, the exciting stuff is not by any stretch of the imagination the hardest part of this job. The hardest part of this job is generating leads and talking to people and getting to the point of, hey, I just met you. Now let's sit down and have coffee, and then let's fill out a contract. That's the hard part, right? That's where the magic happens. And I'm not super good at that part. It happens a little bit naturally, a little bit organically. But if I wanted to build the business, I had to have some help, and I recognized that. And so Missy and I talked a lot about that. And I'm not good at contracts either, so I have Kindle. So I put together a team of people that are good at stuff that I'm not, and it works pretty well. But we put it out there. I hit up my friend, Dr. Philip Seagraves, and I said, hey, man, give me a kid that's hungry. Give me someone that wants to get into this business, but wants to get into it the right way, and has a superior work ethic. And he said, I got somebody for you. And he sent me a couple of folks to interview. And out of that interview, we selected Mr. Craig Byers here. And Craig, tell us a little bit about you, your journey to this point. You're young, so, this is going to be a short story because you're not that old. But where'd you grow up? What are you doing right now? All of those kinds of things.
Yes, sir. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri. My family's all originally from there, and we moved around a lot because of my dad's job. He's an operations manager, and when he first started out, when we first started moving around, he worked at Napa. We moved from we moved from Kansas City to Virginia when I was 7 years old, and I lived there from 1st through 4th grade. Then after that, we moved to Memphis, Tennessee, where I stayed from 5th through 9th grade. And I was originally supposed to finish high school out there. I met a lot of my close friends, lifelong friends there. But we ended up moving back to Kansas City to finish out my high school years, just to be around family and support them during those times. My grandparents were getting older, stuff like that.
Sure.
We just wanted to be close to everybody. And real estate was the first thing that kind of stood out to me when I wanted to go to college, because, I didn't put a lot of thought into, and nothing else really stood out to me, but I knew one thing I wanted to do was have a little more freedom with my job. And I wanted something where I could kind of make my own hours, make my own schedule, make my own sales, really be able to push myself in my business rather than having a set salary, clocking in, clocking out. Because over time, I feel like that would get boring. I wouldn't be able to use my mind at its highest potential. And I know that I could reach so much more by really putting that effort in myself and guiding myself somewhere with that. So that's why real estate stood out to me. And MTSU stood out to me because they have a great real estate program.
They do.
And I initially wanted to go there for that real estate program and just to be around my lifelong friends, because my parents wanted me to get that college experience, really be around those people that I'm close with, have those connections with. And I'm glad that I came out here. they moved out here with me when I came to college, actually, because they wanted to be close to me as well. It gave my dad a better job position, and we also just got the opportunity to get in-state tuition as well. So it was a bunch of benefits bundled into one for me to come out here.
Yeah.
And recently I decided to switch my major actually from finance and real estate to accounting, because I think that an accounting major will help me more in the real estate world, and it'll help me more in the business world overall, just to kind of understand the ins and outs of a business, the different aspects, and how I could grow a business in the most effective way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, you gotta know your documents. You gotta know your forms. You gotta know your numbers. And if you don't, you absolutely put yourself in a position for folks to take advantage of you. If you can decipher some of those accounting, the simple accounting forms, right, and you know what you're actually looking at and looking for, you're going to be much more savvy in really in any venture that you choose to do, whether it's real estate or running your own accounting firm or opening a brewery or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Those documents don't change. Just to kind of catch folks up, if you're one of my past clients, you're going to be hearing from Craig over the next several weeks. His first job is to practice some phone calling, some scripting, things like that. He's going to be calling, making contact, and building out, help update our database and just make touches that I haven't taken the time to do. But also get him some practice on that. And then we're going to start transitioning. We get some internet leads and things like that, folks that we don't know. And his job is going to be to turn those into prospects and set appointments. And I listened to him on the phone yesterday. If you got a call from him yesterday, he was raw, but he did a good job, and he learned quickly, and he's very personable. And I think he's sharp, so he'll figure it out. What do you think? What do you want to gain from this internship?
From this internship, I definitely just want to learn more about real estate. I feel like obviously it's my major, but I haven't really got the time to actually learn more about it in depth and learn the different aspects that'll really help me in my career. Because obviously school is going to teach you those things, but I feel like without getting that real experience, you're not going to know as much as somebody that's been doing it for years. And you could be much farther ahead than people around you just by getting that experience ahead of time. And I know that I could take a lot away from this, even no matter how long I do it, even just working with you one day, I've learned a lot about real estate. So I know that
I like to talk a lot. Yeah, that was code word for God. He doesn't shut up. No, we were sitting in the office and we got off on a tangent. And for those of you that might kind of naturally gravitate towards teaching, you'll understand this. One of the most rewarding things in the whole world, for so many reasons, is the ability and the opportunity to teach someone something. And a couple things, just a couple quick thoughts on that. Number one, you have to know it well enough to teach it.
Yes.
And so I have to sharpen my own mind to make sure I'm not teaching you BS, right?
Yes.
And it's possible. I'm just saying it's totally possible. So that's good. I have to kind of check myself as we're talking, right?
I was going to say, even talking through it yourself can help you teach yourself better, just kind of hearing it out loud. Really
Absolutely.
Makes you think about it.
Well, and putting it into chunks where anybody, not just you, but anybody can be like, okay, here's a digestible chunk. Here's a digestible chunk, those kinds of things.
Yes, sir.
But then also, man, there is nothing better. It is more addictive than any drug that anybody could be on is saying something and watching somebody go, wow, I see that, or I get that, or man, that just changed a perspective, or I'm going to use that, or whatever, right? That moment, that light bulb moment, dude, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it on the planet. So I hope that I can have lots of those light bulb moments with you. And here's the other thing. A good teacher is also open to having their own light bulb moments from their students. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And so to hear your perspective on things, you have a totally different set of life experiences than I do. I didn't move around like that, right? And in this job specifically, that's invaluable, dude.
Yes, sir,
that's invaluable. Sure. Right? You have made the move. You have, been in houses for sale where you had to keep your bed made and stuff like that. That's invaluable. Yes, sir. And it sucks. It's not fun, is it?
No, it's not. Definitely not moving around a lot, because I always felt like I would settle somewhere, like especially when we moved from Memphis back to Kansas City. I was really set on staying there and finishing high school there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the first year back in Kansas, I really just I didn't feel like I was present. Like I really didn't want to be there. Then I just started to make friends.
And it was your sophomore year too, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, sophomore year is the worst year of high school anyway. It sucks.
Exactly.
Like you're a nobody in that year, right? You're a cute freshman or an upperclassman, and then a sophomore, it's like
just in between. Yeah.
Yeah, you're pointless.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Oh man, it's good stuff, man. All right. Well, Craig's going to start his real estate school on Monday. I'm excited about that. He's going to be attending classes here in Murfreesboro, and I expect big things. I have very high expectations for you, and I definitely believe that you will be able to meet or exceed those. So
thank you.
Craig Byers, when you guys hear from him, treat him better than you would treat me, and not that you treat me bad. That's not what I mean. But anyway, be nice to him, but also give me some feedback. Let me know where I can coach him so he can get better. I think you'll appreciate that too, right?
Yes, sir, for sure. Definitely willing to grow.
Good stuff. So the pro tip that comes out of this is get help. Identify where you need the help, whatever professional you are, and get that help. Spend the money, spend the time, spend the effort, teach somebody, build a legacy, and grow your business that way. Trent?
Yes, sir.
What's up, dude?
Man, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a spread the positive update, because
brother,
dude, you've been making some
some moves, man. Yeah, finally, super excited to announce we're working with Trend in Nashville. We've had a couple of shoots with them and went to their corporate party. I don't even know what to call this thing. It was unbelievable. Hardy was the host.
Real quick,
Yeah.
Trend is
They're a massive social media, creative management, PR. They work with a roster of influencers, athletes.
so from a commoner's perspective, they're a talent agency.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's really impressive. It's really impressive what they've done. They started in 2018, I think. Ted, the CEO, his wife was in the influencing game and didn't like their experience, so they just started with Dee Dee and a few of her friends, and they're up to 165 people on their roster.
And now Hardy, him and his brother wrote all those mystery books.
No,
right?
No, gosh dang it. Dad jokes. Had to get one in. No, but it was unbelievable, man.
I'm sorry, Hardy. I know you're not watching this, but if you are,
bro, he was amazing. Ella Langley came out.
I like Ella Langley.
Lainey Wilson came out. Miranda Lambert came out. So it was Hardy, Ella Langley, and Miranda Lambert singing "Choosing Texas," which is the biggest song in the world right now.
Yeah,
dude, it was epic. I'm still just riding a wave from just the energy in that room. So we're shout out to my cousin Sarah Jordan. She's the director of PR over at Trend, and she dropped our name. They were interested in getting into the podcasting game, and we got some big things on deck. We got the pilot for the Trend show went really well, and now Ted's already talking to his good buddy Randall Cobb, legendary receiver for the Packers. So we're hoping to get a pilot shot with him next week, and it's just up. They're basically starting a Trend podcast network with all their people. So it's a massive, massive opportunity, and we're super, super grateful for it. It was what they did last night. I knew they were big time, but last night, it's hard to put into words. They had a free tattoo and piercing thing. It was free. Open bar, obviously, crazy hors d'oeuvres going around everywhere. Just the most, everybody's just stunning. It's just, there wasn't many ugly people in that room outside of myself, But it was a special night, man, and we're super grateful for that. And got a lot of other stuff that we're working on. Super grateful for the team as well. It's a really exciting time for Spread the Positive, man.
Very good.
We're super blessed.
Good deal.
Yeah, man.
All
Craig,
right.
man, you're in great hands, dude. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
It's cool to hear your story briefly. Looking forward to seeing you around, man. You This seems like a really good thing.
Yeah.
Super pumped for both of y'all. Super
It's
pumped for
good.
both of y'all, man.
All right.
Let's
I guess
wrap
that's
it up.
it. Hey, one more quick plug. Cedar Glade next Friday. Let's talk this Friday. Tomorrow, we have a fella from Cincinnati, John Ford. He's a blues man, and dude, he's so freaking good.
Nice.
Him and everybody's friend, Captain Sam Rorix, will be in there. They're going to be playing the blues tomorrow night. But next Friday, we host International Folk Fest.
Let's go.
And if you haven't attended that, this is the third year that we've hosted it. Dance
That's
troops
epic, man.
from Croatia, France, and Germany, plus the Cripple Creek Cloggers here in the U.S. All four of those troops
That's so
will be
cool.
dancing and playing music in the parking lot. It'll be a big turnout, several food trucks. It's magical. We brewed a beer style from each of the three other countries. So we have a Bier de Garde from France, we have a Croatian lager, and then we have a Dunkelweizen from Germany that we brewed. And it's a big party, y'all. And
Yeah.
if you like music, if you
Culture. Yeah.
getting back to your roots, whatever. If you just like
Learning new things.
pretty dresses and colorful outfits, whatever. We got all of that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. So
That's awesome.
join us next Friday at 5:00. I think the music officially starts at 5:30. But you'll want to bring a lawn chair and camp out in the parking lot. So it'll be good.
Heck yeah. Good show, y'all.
Cheers.
We'll see y'all on the next one. Peace. Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Primis Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC. Primis Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.